Okay, so you're thinking about buying a home and all you hear in the news is this is a terrible time to buy. I get it. There's so many unknowns. You don't want to purchase the wrong property. You don't want to overpay for the property. There's a lot of uncertainty in the economy, right? And interest rates are fluctuating. They're up and they're down and they're continually changing. Or maybe, you just have commitment issues. Well, you're in luck today. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 game-changing considerations that are going to help you determine if now is the right time for you to purchase a home. If this is your first time at the channel and you want to know everything there is about real estate in Vancouver and surrounding areas, subscribe below. Tap the bell for notifications to be the first to learn about what's going on in the current market here in Vancouver. My name is Megan Becker, local realtor with eXp Realty. Myself and my team get calls every single day from people looking to make a move to or within this amazing city, Vancouver. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, I'd love for you to give me a call, text, or email, and I'm excited to help you make a smooth move to this amazing city. Okay, let's get into timing and decision making here. Okay, the first thing you need to consider here is understanding market dynamics. So let's define a few terms here. So what is a buyer's market? A buyer's market, what you're going to see is there is more supply than there is demand. Inventory is high, sales are not as high. One of the stats that we look for that our real estate board publishes every single month is the sales to active listing ratio. So how many homes are sitting on the market versus how many homes are actually getting sold. So we calculate it as a percentage. So anything below 12% is considered a buyer's market. So what that 12% means is 12% of the listings that are going to market are getting sold. So this naturally will put downward pressure on price, therefore making it more conducive for a buyer to purchase in this type of market here. And a seller's market is basically the opposite of that. There is more demand than there is supply. When we look at that sales to active listing ratio, we're looking for anything really above that 20%. So anything more than 20% of homes that are going to market are getting sold. So all that inventory is being eaten up at a faster pace there, which naturally is going to put a upward pressure on price, hence a seller's market. Next, let's talk about the pros and cons of buying in each type of market. Because just because it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, I always tell my clients when we sit down, and this is something I sit down, one of the most important meetings that I have with clients is our initial consult. And this is before we even step foot in viewing properties or doing anything, is we sit down and have a consult. And part of that meeting is for me to get to know my clients' goals, but it's also for me to educate my clients on the type of market that we're shopping in. Because I always say there's no bad market, there's only bad strategies. And so if you have the right strategy in any market, you're going to win as a buyer. If you only have one strategy, you're only really going to be successful in maybe one type of like buyer or seller market there. But a really good realtor is going to help you strategize and be able to secure a really great property regardless of what's going on in the economy. So all my info is in the description box below. I would love for you to reach out because this is one of my favorite things to do, is educate buyers on the type of market that we're shopping in and devising a strategy that's going to help us be successful. And I know that a lot of realtors don't do that. It's just about, hey, do you like this property? Let's go see it. Do you want to write an offer? Okay, cool. I take more of a hands-on approach and I like to collaborate with my clients. I want to educate them and help them understand the type of market that we're actually shopping in. Because at the end of the day, it's not my goal to tell you as a client what to do. It's my goal to educate you so that you can make great decisions and that you feel that you're equipped with the right professional knowledge. Little bit of a sidetrack. Let's get back to the pros and cons of shopping in a buyer's market versus a seller's market. And this is a conversation, like I mentioned, I have when I sit down and I talk with those clients in that initial consult here. So let's talk about the pros of buying in a buyer's market. Here, there's going to be less competition because there is more inventory. There's less demand. So less competition. You're not going to see massive lineups at open houses and You might not see as many multiple offer situations or properties going significantly over list. In a buyer's market, there's more likely that you're going to be able to secure a property under list price. And really, a lot of times in a buyer's market, buyers are in the driver's seat because there is more properties available. We've submitted a lowball offer, basically told the seller, take it or leave it, because there were 2 or 3 other properties that my clients that I'm specifically thinking of here, they were fine pursuing. They wanted to get a deal and they were shopping at a certain budget, and we just submitted the offer and said, hey, this is our best and highest. We're not going to negotiate, take it or leave it. And that's worked in some situations because sellers understand that, in a lot of those cases, one offer is better than no offers. A seller is going to accommodate more subjects and maybe a longer subject period. Things like your financing subject, Stratadoc review if you're purchasing a condo or an inspection. And then you don't have to act as fast. There is a little bit more time. Regardless of the market, I am still really I'm on the MLS and I'm looking at dates and I'm strategizing because, the last thing that I want in any market for a client is to, we've got tons of time and all of a sudden miss out. But typically in a buyer's market, you do have a little bit more time. You don't need to, drop what you're doing and go see the property tonight or, put in an offer and get an inspection done so that you don't have to have an inspection subject in your offer. That's less likely to have to happen or to need to happen in a buyer's market. So the cons of buying in a buyer's market is that sometimes the really great inventory is not there yet. Lots of times sellers are waiting till that seller's market or when there's less supply to go to market so that they can get that higher price. So you might not have as much inventory to choose from or much desirable inventory to choose from. And lots of times there's less demand for a reason. Like in the environment that we're in right now, interest rates have continually rose. They've flattened out a little bit right now, but a lot of buyers are taking a back seat right now because of the higher interest rates. So that is one of the drawbacks is usually there's less demand for another external reason that's causing that. Okay, let's talk about the pros of buying in a seller's market. So I know when I defined a seller's market, I said there is more demand than there is supply. But typically, we'll use a spring for an example. Sellers like to wait till that early or springtime to list their property because they know that there is going to be a higher demand there. And so it's this continually moving entity here. But a lot of times what happens is that really good inventory, sellers want to wait. If they've got a really, really amazing property, they're going to wait till that right time to go to market. And so sometimes when you're purchasing in a seller's market, that's when you might be able to find some of those really, really desirable properties. And then again, some external force is causing this seller's market. So maybe it's like we saw in the last handful of years previously over COVID is the low interest rates. So some external force is causing this really influx to create this seller's market. So I know a lot of people that purchase properties, especially in 2021, depending on the market that you're looking at, but a lot of that was seller market conditions because a lot of people had these low interest rates that they wanted to get into properties. The cons of purchasing in a seller's market is there is going to be competition. This is where you're going to find yourself in lineups to get into open houses, to get into properties. You're going to find yourself in multiple offer situations, and you have far less time to do your due diligence for your subjects. So there is, in order to secure a property in a really competitive environment, there is the likelihood that you might have to consider writing a subject-free offer. You might have to, depending on the time frame of when a property goes to market, you might have to, cancel your evening plans and go see the property, get in there right away. Be in constant communication with your realtor. Make sure that you are, you're first in there. You're getting that offer submitted before that deadline. And so, like I mentioned, in this initial buyer consult, this is what I talk about. I break down what are the stats in the market that we're actually shopping in. Because even if you look at a city like Vancouver, There are different markets depending on the type of property. I know I was helping a client in the spring of this year. We were looking for properties in and around that 500 to 600 range. And holy smokes, was that ever a popular segment of the market. I think one of the big things is just affordability right now. And so I think we ended up writing close to 20 offers on properties. We were in lineups at open houses. Before I even started shopping with this client, we sat down in our initial consult and we talked about the market. We talked about what this would look like. I knew that this was coming and I knew that this would be what would be our reality. And so I prepared him of what it was going to look like. And that's what I find. Real estate is super stressful and frustrating when you encounter things that you weren't expecting. And so that's why that initial consult is so important for me, is because I talk about the market and I say, this is what it's going to look like. We're likely going to find ourselves in a really competitive environment. So one of the strategies that we implemented was shopping, not looking at properties at the top of our budget. So if we were looking up to 600, we would kind of look at properties in around that 550 or low 500 range, so that we had a little bit of room. If we found a property that was listed at, say, 525, it had multiple offers, we had some room to go up and maybe offer 600,000 on that property to give us that competitive edge. So if you're considering making a move right now, definitely contact me. My info is in the description box below. I'd love to sit down and have an initial consult with you. Regardless of when you're looking to move, we can talk about the market and what it would look like to actually secure a great property here. And make sure you stick around for number 2 and number 3, because they are game changers when it comes to you understanding when the right time to buy is. And the last thing I'll mention about the current market dynamics, because interest rates are such a hot topic and they're in the news and everything, is they are something to consider, absolutely. But I always tell my clients, they're a piece of the puzzle. They're not the whole picture. Interest rates should not be the determining factor of when it is a good time to buy. They should be a piece that you should consider in and amongst that whole entire picture there. Number 2 thing to consider here is focusing on your personal goals. And this is the very beginning of that initial consult that I have with clients. As I say, what are you using real estate to try and accomplish? What's your lifestyle that you want to create here? What are your goals? What are you using this property to help you try and accomplish? And if you are purchasing a property for personal reasons, I work with first-time buyers. I work with people purchasing personal properties, upsizing, downsizing. But I also work with investors, and I use the example that if you're purchasing a property for personal reasons, or if you're purchasing a property for investment purposes, you're going to look at those 2 properties through different lenses. So let's put on the lens of looking at a property for personal use here. What should be your main measuring stick? If this is your personal home, it should be a space for you to build a family, create memories, build a life. Your main measuring stick should be, can you afford it? And do you have the down payment? So chatting with a mortgage broker to understand, okay, what are you qualified for? And not just that you're qualified for X amount of mortgage, but are you happy with those mortgage payments on a monthly basis? Does that fit into your financial plan? And that's what I always recommend clients do, is it's all well and good that you're approved up to this amount, but what do those mortgage payments look like, and how does that fit into your personal budget? And are you happy with that? So consider your family, your long-term goals. Do you need room for growth? Is it yourself? What's your career plan? What are your family needs? What are your investment goals? And make sure that you are crystal clear about that before even starting this home buying process. Because like I always say, you need to know where you're going in order to figure out the best route to how to get there. And for me as a realtor, it really helps me when I understand my clients' goals, because I can best advise them. I figure out their goals, and then we talk about the current market, and then we devise a strategy and we talk about that. And I've successfully helped buyers purchase properties in all different types of markets. Super competitive sellers market, tons of inventory buyer markets where, we've secured some really great prices on properties because we had the right strategy. And one quick story I'll tell you is clients that we started shopping in the summer market when it was very competitive. We had submitted, I think, about 3 or 4 offers. We ended up losing out. They were getting kind of bummed, but they knew it was part of the process because, again, we chatted about this before the process. And we started to get into late summer when things typically slow down a little bit into the fall because people go on vacation, kids head back to school. It's this kind of lull in this late August, September month where things really slow down here. And the interesting thing I find is that some sellers, if they're not properly advised by their clients, they're still using market strategies that worked well in the spring but are not working well in a slower market. And so with these clients, we found ourselves, we really liked this property. They absolutely loved the location. There was a great patio, and we decided to put in an offer. I did a market analysis on the property, and I went to my clients and I said, yeah, these guys are almost $100,000 overpriced. And, if you guys like this, I gave them a range. I never tell my clients what to do. I never say, do this, don't do this. I give them my professional advice. And I believe that people are smart. If they understand what their goals are, and if they understand current market, and they're given professional advice, they'll make great decisions. And so what I said, this is where the property is valued at. And it was almost about $100,000 less than where the property was listed. And I said, if you guys pay anything between X amount and X amount, I think you're doing really, really well. If you guys really want to pay what the seller wants, it's entirely up to you. I think, again, we've traditionally seen prices in Vancouver go up, but I think value-wise right now, I said, this is where the property is worth. And they're like, okay, we want to get the property. We don't love it. It's not our forever home, but we love it for the value that I valued at fair market value. That's what they said. So we wrote the offer at that. Seller rejected it. And I got this big, long sob story from the realtor about how the clients needed X amount to move to another property. And I said, I care. They had a lot of kids in a very small property. I said, my heart goes out to them. But at the end of the day, the market doesn't care what your clients want. The market only cares what someone's willing to pay for it. And this property had been on the market for quite a while. Nobody had, they hadn't got any offers that the seller was interested in entertaining. And so my clients just walked away. We didn't end up coming together. And it was about 5 weeks later, I got a call from the realtor, and he's like, my clients have gotten desperate and they need to move. They found a place and they need to get this sold. My clients would be willing to accept the offer that my clients initially wrote at, which is what I valued at fair market value. That was almost $100,000 under where they had listed it. And I talked to my clients and they're like, yep, let's do this. And so it's just a really cool example that, one, patience pays off, and that initial conversation of really educating my clients on the market and understanding the right strategy pays off. And so it pays to have a realtor that understands how to strategize in different markets, even in the changing of, 1 to 2 months over the course of a year. Things can change drastically, exactly as we saw happen here. And the third thing to really be aware of here is the psychology around real estate and decision making. People like to do what other people are doing. There's a sense of certainty. There's a sense of safety when everybody else is doing something, so you decide to do it. It gives you a little bit of known. When you're doing something that nobody else is doing, there is a lot of uncertainty. And human beings, we like certainty. We like control. We like to know what's happening. And so there's this phenomenon that when everybody's doing something, it all of a sudden makes it okay for us to do that exact same thing. And the downside about that is that just because a lot of people are doing something doesn't mean that, one, it's the right thing to do, and two, it's the best thing for your personal circumstances. And so one of my life rules is always wear my critical thinking hat, and I filter my decisions through my values and through my goals. And so why am I talking about this? What does this have to do with purchasing a house? Well, the news likes to glamorize a lot of things. And as we all know, negative sells. And so anytime there is uncertainty or negative or anything that can create a headline, the news is all over that. You don't really ever hear anything published about very conservative couple saves up a really large down payment and they secure their first home under their budget, and they've been very conservative with their money and they secure a great family home. That doesn't really sell news articles, or that doesn't sell headlines. But when things go wrong, or the high interest rates, or the market is crashing, or this or that stuff, it sells and it creates an audience. And so if you are in the market and you're looking at purchasing and everything that is going into your ears and into your eyes is the news, then of course you're going to be sitting there being like, it's never a right time to buy. I'm too scared. This is going on and this is going on and this is going on. And so one of the things I would encourage you to do is sit down and talk with a professional and make sure that you're getting professional advice that's in line with your goals. People have purchased properties before, but purchasing properties is something that I do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And so I'm in the market every single day. And so I'm able to really help guide my clients based on their own goals. So I always say the news is great for entertainment, but it's not great to get professional sound advice. I've sat down with clients and it's been a 2 and 3 year process in order for them, from the first day that we sat down and did a consult, to securing a property. And just individual circumstances, they didn't, some of them didn't have their finances in order, or they just were unaware of the process and really what it took financially to be in that right position. And so that's why I always tell people, regardless of when you're looking at purchasing, even if you're not purchasing, in the next couple weeks here, give me a call and let's sit down and have a conversation, so at least that you're getting professional advice from someone and you're not just getting the news like talked into your ear, and then all of a sudden like 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years goes by and you're like, well, it's just never the right time to buy. So like I mentioned, I take a very guiding approach to working with my clients, because I just really believe that if you can uncover what people's goals are and give them sound advice and perspective on how to achieve that and lead them there, people are going to make great decisions. People are smart. They just need direction and the right advice and someone there to help facilitate that. And that's really the role that I play with my clients. Maybe it's because my background is I've been in health and fitness my whole life. I was a strength and conditioning coach for quite a few years, and I did that with my clients. I said, okay, let's figure out your health and fitness goals and let's devise a plan in order to help you get there. And I would help my clients. I would clarify reality. I would help them set boundaries. I would help them develop habits to protect themselves when they know that they're in a vulnerable situation, to keep them in line with their goals. And so I've adopted that, and I've taken that approach really into real estate and figuring out where my clients want to go, and then figuring out the plan and helping them really strategically devise a plan on how to get there. So in summary, the right time to buy real estate is 1, when you know your own personal goals. Number 2 is that when you can afford it. Number 3 is when you understand the current market. And number 4 is when you've partnered with the right realtor, who you've built trust with, who's taken the time to get to know you and your goals and educate you on the current market that you're shopping in. I'm curious, for those of you that have purchased properties before, what was your experience like when you purchased your first property? How did you determine whether it was the right time to buy? What were those key cornerstone decision-making factors that you applied? I'd love for you to put them in the comments below. I'm super curious. And I trust that you got value from this video. Again, my name is Megan Becker, local realtor, eXp Realty. If you're thinking about making the move to Vancouver, I would love the opportunity to help you make a smooth move to Canada's greatest city. And until next time, Thursdays is biryani night at House of Dosas on Broadway, and I'm gonna go meet some friends there for dinner.